Hello. So, story time. Konnichiwa, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grape. For today's video, as you must have already seen the title of this video, I will be speaking of reviewing my experience at NCT 127 concert, which happened last weekend in Tokyo. So basically, originally, I really wanted to make a vlog style of a video, capturing me actually going there and filming their performance. However, I don't know if it's the global standard with NCT concert, but usually in Japan, it's prohibited for you to take a video or take a picture when the act is happening. I actually went to Twice concert end of last month, and it was exactly the same situation. Like when you go in, they display so many signs saying you are not allowed to take a picture inside.
No picture!
And I was kind of hoping it would be a different case for NCT, but no, we were not allowed to take a picture. And everyone do actually respect this rule in Japan, so I literally couldn't see anyone holding up a phone, and I didn't want to disrespect anyone in the audience, and especially the people who put the show together. So unfortunately, I don't have any of the video clip to share with you guys, but I sneaked in just one picture right before the concert starts. No one was actually taking a picture during the act, but people were taking a picture once they have a seat. I will actually put it up in this video so you can have a look how it looked like. That was too long of an intro. But anyways, in this video, I will be talking about ticket buying process. Like, was it difficult for me to get a ticket? How many times I had to enter? And then I want to talk about how it was like at the venue once we got there. Kind of an experience from the gate to the seat. And then I will talk about the actual set list. I don't know if NCT 127 is planning a concert in any other places other than Japan now, but yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled, just so you know, I will be talking about the specific songs in order. Alright, so let's actually start the storyline. So, the actual ticket buying process. Like I mentioned earlier, I went to concert for Twice at the end of April. I'm not gonna talk too much about Twice ticket buying process, but it was quite hard. So me and my friend decided to actually become Sisney. So I'm an official Sisney now, which I'm quite happy about. But we just really didn't want to risk of not getting the tickets, so we decided to become Sisney. We were thinking maybe I would get the tickets, but my friend wouldn't get the tickets. So just to have as an insurance, we both entered for 2 tickets, and both of us got the tickets. And they were actually specific websites that you can resell your tickets, but I thought maybe it would be better to find people on Twitter, and the whole process was pretty easy. People were actually looking for the tickets. We did everything through Twitter DM. I basically found 2 Japanese people, and they were willing to pay up front, so it was a very comfortable transaction. But actual process of getting in to the gate and finding the seat was not the easiest process in my opinion. So that leads to the next topic, going into the venue. Going to the actual venue, it was held at Tokyo Dome. It actually is the biggest venue in Tokyo. It can accommodate up to 56,000 people, and the place was pretty packed, so you can imagine how crowded it was around the venue before the act starts. So it was kind of hard to find each other at the venue. Not me and my friend, the people who I found on Twitter who got the tickets off of us. And the thing was, I think it's just not NCT concert. I think it's the SM way of handling the seating. You can only find out where exactly you are seated once you go in to the dome. So you are provided with your QR code prior to the event, but you have to scan the QR code to get into the venue. And then once your QR code is scanned on your app, your seat number comes up on your phone. It's not the hardest thing to find your seat, but you get nervous because you just find out the numbers. Everyone's looking around to see the signs, to see which way they needed to go. So it was kind of not chaotic. I wouldn't say chaotic, but it was a lot. And we were a little bit nervous because it took longer than we thought to find each other to going. So we had less time inside to find our seats. Anyway, so once we find out where we are gonna be seated, 2 of my tickets were actually seated for the second level of the venue. And 2 tickets of my friend were designated for the first floor, not the arena, but the first floor of the venue. I will actually put up a map so you can see what I'm talking about. So basically I gave 2 of my tickets to these Twitter people and then they went up 2 stairs. I feel like I'm speaking a lot, but I'm not giving you much information. But basically the hardest part, not the hardest, but the most frustrating part, stressful part, was actually to find out where exactly your seat was. And if you are actually sharing your tickets to someone else that you don't know, it can get even more frustrating. But I guess this is what it is. Like, you don't want to miss your ticket, so as an insurance, you would always enter extra tickets with your friends. So I guess this is the standard procedure for most of the people, but that's how it was like for me. Okay, so now that we are actually in the venue, let's talk about the set list. Act started actually right on time. It was supposed to start at 6 o'clock and then I don't think they were delayed that much. And the whole thing was actually lasted around 3 hours. Let me tell you before I actually go into details, I loved every single minute of it. It was an experience. It was such a good concert. Like, I would want to pay again to actually go to see NCT live. Like, no regrets. It was way more than I expected, to be honest. So like the intro, they show the faces of each member on the big screen, like how you would see for Mama concert, that intro. It was actually a very good build up for the songs to start. And the first song, they started off with Kick It. Yo, let me introduce you to some new tales. And without any breaks, they played 3 songs straight for the beginning of the show. And for Kick It, they actually had a lot of fireworks with such a huge exploding sound. And mind you, I was not on the arena, I was actually on the first floor. Not too far, but it was pretty far away from the main stage. But the sound was actually like shaking us. But at the same time, even though it was so surprising and it was kind of scary, but it kind of gives you the energy. It makes you feel like, oh, we are actually at the concert. So it was very exciting to feel that. Right after Kick It, they played Lemonade. And I didn't know who says... Do you guys know? I mean, you guys know, but do you guys know how Lemonade starts? It actually starts off with, that deep voice of Lemonade. After Kick It finished, whole venue goes silent. And all of a sudden, Jihyun says, Lemonade. And everyone's like screaming. Like, you're not supposed to scream. I mean, at this concert, people are not supposed to be screaming. So there were signs alongside with not taking a picture. Also, you have to wear a mask, obviously. And then you're not supposed to scream or use your voice to chant. Instead, you only have to clap with your hands. And people did actually follow that instruction. Is it very Japanese thing to follow that instruction? I mean, I don't even know how it's like for the rest of the world, for the concert. After COVID especially. I mean, if it's not COVID, obviously people are going to be screaming. Anyways, so people were following this instruction, but not for this moment when Jaehyun said Lemonade. People couldn't hold it back. And right before the concert, Lemonade was one of the songs I just couldn't stop listening to it. So it was very exciting. I loved it. And then they played Gimme Gimme, which is a Japanese song which I reacted to in my reaction video. Thank God I knew first 3 songs. It was just like such a good intro without any breaks, like playing 3 songs straight. And I will be speaking about each members, but with the first 3 songs, the people who gave me the most impression was obviously Jaehyun with that deep voice. I couldn't help but to scream as well. And also Johnny, he's so tall. And his face is like this. Like, his proportion is no joke. Me and my friend were like, no wonder he was actually invited to Met because he looks so freaking cool. But I have to tell you, he doesn't know how to keep his shirt on. He was wearing a jacket and shirt, but he didn't have any buttons up. Girls were screaming over him. And Yuta, his presence is very distinctive. He has such a charismatic aura. What I'm about to tell you about Yuta is not in any way critique, but he gives off such a cool Shinjuku Kabukicho host vibe. And if you guys don't know what that is, I need you to look it up, or maybe I will just insert the picture. He just have this like rich, sexy Japanese guy aura, and he's so well spoken. You know, it's his home country. So I thought he would be speaking a lot to kind of lead the conversation, but rather than that, he was kind of reserved. Like, he did speak a lot, but not overpowering or showing off. So yeah, he really gave me a good impression. Oh, but I actually wanted to mention, Tail actually got COVID before coming to Tokyo. And before Tokyo, they were actually performing in Nagoya, which is west side of Japan, next to Osaka. So he was not able to perform at Nagoya concert, but he recovered for Tokyo. So we were actually able to see him at Tokyo concert, which we felt so lucky and very grateful that he actually came back. But anyways, I'm speaking too long about the first act, so let's move on. So the one thing I really loved about this concert is that they didn't just do one song, stage blackout, one song, stage blackout, one song, stage blackout. It wasn't like that. It was more of, in between they would do dance break, in between they would give a solo performance, and they were actually going around the venue with, how do you call it, like a cart? Gondola cart? You know, the moving stage. So they were actually using that a lot. So even though we were sitting kind of far away from the main stage, because they were going around a lot, we actually got to see them pretty close. And my friend actually brought binocular. So watching them when they come close to us with binocular, I was even able to see their facial expression, which actually was such a great experience. And God, Jaehyun's beauty. I knew, like, we all know Jaehyun is handsome, but Jaehyun in real life is like no joke. I was like, it's like starstruck. So then they moved into focusing on more of each member's performance. Tail performed a song called Another World at some point earlier in the set list, and his vocal was impeccable. And after that, Haechan actually performed his solo. I knew that Haechan is very good at singing. I knew that. But I didn't know he was such a good dancer, to be honest. I mean, I know he can dance, but he was very good at sexy dancing. I was like, he gave the performance where my jaw dropped. I was like, hot. And I never thought I would think hot about Haechan. So that was something. And I actually wanted to talk about, they played Breakfast, and I really like that song. But I never knew who's actually singing which part. But it was kind of like a lyric video on YouTube. The member's name who's singing the part was displayed on a big screen. And one part I thought Doyeon was singing was actually sung by Yuta. So I did think that was a pretty good way to showcase the song. So the act continues, and the next part, they were showcasing Taeyeon and Mark. First we got to see Mark's solo performance, and then we saw Taeyeon's solo performance, and then after that they performed a song together. And I think throughout the entire concert, this was the most edgy part of the concert. The lighting they were using was rather darker, and outfit they were wearing was pretty edgy, but the charisma. I feel like everything I'm talking about each member is already known fact, but when I see them in person, everything was just like 200 times better than what I thought. So like the performance by these two members just screamed charisma.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular.
It gave me goosebumps, and then my goosebumps doesn't stop. Because after this section, they actually move into perform Lipstick, which actually is another favorite songs of mine by them. After Mark and Taeyeon left the stage, the melody of Lipstick started to play with visuals on the screen. So I was like, oh, I love Lipstick, but I think they're just gonna use it for kind of like a in-between stage buffer song, and I was kind of disappointed at that point. But then it actually turned into the dance break by Jongwoo, and oh my god, outfit, I wish I could take a picture of that. He kind of had like a huge rim black hat with I don't know how to call it. It's like a chandelier, like it's a crystal dripping down from the rim of the hat. And Jongwoo was another member along with Johnny. I was so shook how tiny his face was. and how perfect his proportion is. And I didn't know like they do such a sexy dance, right? Everyone can dance very sexy in that group. I have to tell you, it was one of the highlights. Not the best moment, but it was one of my highlight of the concert. So with Jongwoo's sexy performance, the whole thing moved into very sexy concept staging, and we basically was shown soft porn by Johnny. I don't know if there's any video clip posted online on Twitter. He was dancing, not dancing, kind of like a workout in a steamed box. But obviously the camera was focusing on him, so we basically could see everything. And in the box, I guess there is a bar on top of the box. And he would like lift his body and grind on the box. So me and my friend looked at each other with our mouth open, and we no words. It was very explicit, but it was very entertaining and interesting part of the concert. After the sexy part of the concert, it kind of started to slow down and they were starting to showcase more of the ballad. And for my personal liking, I'm not a huge fan of ballad on a daily basis. I was thinking, oh, this will be the part where I can kind of sit back and chill. But no. Like the melody, the harmony was just so beautiful. I think the song is called Lost by Jaehyun. So basically right after Johnny's explicit performance, was Jaehyun's solo performance, and he started to sing this romantic sad ballad on the sofa with whole black outfit, with his deep voice. Sexy as fuck. And then one of the main highlights of mine, I think this is the best moment, when Doyeon was singing solo performance, and it was right before the performance for Favorite, which is basically my favorite song by them now. And it was only halfway through the concert, so basically in his solo performance, like he was giving us emotion and it screamed like the epic feeling. He was actually singing in the middle of the venue, and then the light was kind of hitting him. He was just giving us this goddess vibe in the middle of the venue. And like me talking about it now, it's giving me goosebumps. It was that impressive and mesmerizing. And towards the end of his solo, I could hear, oh, this song is actually turning into Favorite. And it did. And oh my God, the Favorite performance. It was only halfway through the concert, but they were already like shooting down the flower petal. They usually shoot out the flower petal for the climax. Don't you think? Don't you agree? It's always the climax with the flower petal and it's like, oh, it's the end of the concert, that feeling. And they did it in the middle of the set list for Favorite. And it was just so beautiful. And I just needed to burn that scenery in my head. It just was so beautiful. I wish I could take a picture and then share it with you guys. It was that good. And I think around this time they had MC. And they actually started to explain about the specific behind the scenes story about each of their solo performances. And each member actually spoke to explain why they decided to sing this song. So I think it was a very good communication from boys to the audience. And Yuta was the member who gave us the solo performance at last. And I'm gonna have to inform you guys, Yuta is not a human. He wasn't a human. He was a butterfly. That solo performance, beautiful. And did you guys know he has a butterfly tattoo on his body? And he was showing it off. Sensual, sexy butterfly. Not a human. And in total, they actually performed 35 songs, so there are a lot more songs in between and also the after. But I think the main highlight I wanted to talk about those things. But in terms of the member, I can tell you Haechan was the most charming one. Even though he gave us the sexy performance, when he was giving us a speech, he was very charming. And Jaehyun, I'm repeating myself, but he is so hot. But one thing I also wanted to highlight is Doyeon. I didn't know Doyeon is so good at Japanese. I think he was the member who was looking at the card the least while he was speaking in Japanese. Like he was so fluent, and I didn't know he was such a funny member because everything I've seen so far is music video. He's giving us the vocal. In my opinion, he's giving us very much of vampire. I mean, it's based off of favorite music video. All this time I thought he would have had a cold, quiet personality, but he was one of the funniest one along with Hechan. So it was kind of a good discovery about the member. Oh, and I wanted to tell you guys which was the best song listening to live. Cherry Bomb was very impressive. I'm so happy that I actually got to see them going down, you know, that choreo for the dance break. But in my opinion, the best song, it's not like it was better live, but my favorite song was actually the favorite, like I mentioned, because it was just so magical to look at. And they actually had like a 5 minutes break before encore. I wouldn't say encore was the highlight, in my opinion. Like they played the songs I didn't know. It was more of a cute, happy songs, which it should be for encore. But just to be honest, it wasn't my favorite part of the whole entire concert. The last speech was very cute by everyone. Taeyeon cried. I think it was the happy crying, but he was giving us a speech. He was explaining that he feels like he's not enough, needs to do better, but he was explaining he was so grateful for every single member. I think it was a happy tears, but I think he was going through a lot of emotions. That actually made a lot of people in the audience cry as well. I didn't shed a tear because I'm dead inside, but I could hear a lot of people actually crying along with Taeyeon. So that was very emotional. The last speech by Yuta was one of the reasons why I said earlier Yuta is very well spoken. He wasn't saying anything crazy, but he was just very graceful. He was saying like, let's send a clap to everyone who made it possible to have this stage, from the production, from the choreographer, to everyone who is involved, and also to the fans that made it possible. And I guess it is the expected speech, but how he put it out was very graceful and respectful. So I just really liked how he spoke. Yeah, I can say that was another highlight of the night. I think I've spoken everything I wanted to say. I've never done this kind of filming, so I'm sorry if I was not clear about certain stuff that I was explaining, but I hope I was able to share the excitement that I got from this concert. For those of you who stuck around till the end, thank you so much for watching until the end. If there are anything that you want to know about this concert that I didn't mention, you can comment down below and ask me, or you can even DM me on Instagram, Twitter. I would be more than happy to answer. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please put a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe. And again, thank you so much for watching till the end, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.